Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Clarissa. I put out new pick a card readings. Sometimes I'll do a weekly tarot collective reading once a week. So this week, as you can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be looking at important messages from your higher self. I really wanted to be able to get like the messages that you need to hear the most right now from your higher self, the things that will like resonate with you, inspire you, and hopefully like make you feel seen and understood. So we have 3 different groups to choose from this week. We have pile number 1, 2, and 3. So for pile number 1, these are the oracle cards that we'll be getting into for pile number 1, and then this is your stone. This is a piece of picture jasper. I apologize if you're hearing my dog in the background. He, breathes heavily. He's a Frenchie. So this is your stone, your picture jasper. Then for group number 2, we have this piece of citrine. It's like a light heated piece of citrine for you guys. And then for group number 3, we have this piece of smoky quartz. It keeps like wanting to focus on my candle instead. Sorry, guys. There we go. All right. So again, group number 1, 2, and 3. If you do not know which group you're the most drawn to, you can pause the video at this time to meditate or sit with the piles and see whatever it is you're the most drawn to. If you're drawn to more than one, perfectly fine for this reading to listen to more than one pile. I actually will go ahead and say I've like recorded the videos already. I've already recorded the readings and now I'm going in and recording the intro. And groups number 1 and 2 had pretty similar messaging. There were some things that were a little bit different in there. So if you're feeling drawn to both of those groups, I'd just go ahead and advise to listen to both readings if you're feeling called to do that. But whatever works for you, listen to one, listen to all 3. There's no right or wrong here. Once you've decided though, whatever group you want to start with, whatever pile you want to start with, you can go to the description box down below and there will be timestamps for each individual pile. So thank you guys so much for joining me and I will see you shortly in your reading. Hello there, my group number 1s. As a reminder, if you chose the picture jasper, then this is your reading. We're going to go ahead and get into it and see all that your higher self, the messages that they need to get across to you. Excuse me, I had to burp there. I also have some additional oracle cards that we'll get into once we've touched on your tarot cards. So we have the Ace of Cups, Death, the 2 of Swords, and the 2 of Cups. And then I also am utilizing, what is this deck called? The Animal Spirit deck and guidebook by Kim Kranz. And I was essentially just wanting to see like what kind of energy you guys are like, what you are supposed to be embodying, or the energy that would kind of best describe the situation that like encapsulates you currently or whatever. So for you guys, we got the unicorn, which we love. With that coming out, I really do feel like a couple of different things here. So I think that your higher self is really asking for you to connect more to your higher self, to maybe, there are like certain meditations even that you can do that I know of on YouTube, or you can like meet your higher self and speak with your higher self. But even just things like meditation, breath work, allowing yourself to be more present. Maybe for you, it's like going out in nature, disconnecting from your electronics. Oh my God, I cannot talk today. Whatever it may be. Just like doing something to help you better connect with yourself, okay? I do feel like there has been some level of disconnect, maybe not currently, but in the past for you when it comes to like you connecting with yourself. And I think that with the unicorn coming out here, it's really your higher self asking you to dive deeper, to connect more with that part of you, to even like look maybe into chakra work, because the unicorn also is representative of the 6th chakra according to that guidebook. So that's kind of like the way that it's being laid out within that deck. And it may also be a calling for you to try and do some work to unblock that sixth chakra, which is actually your third eye. So maybe doing some work there to like also better connect with yourself and your intuition. But I do think that there needs to be quite a bit of personal work done for you so that you can better understand and connect with yourself, especially with the Ace of Cups coming up here and the Two of Cups. It's giving the energy of that saying, like, we can only meet other people as deeply as we've met ourselves. And I think that that's something that you guys have started to realize, group number one. Perhaps you realize that you have a lot of unhealed trauma. Perhaps you realize that there is a lot of shadow work that needs to be done for you. Whatever the case may be, group number one, I really do think that it's time to start making those connections and also connecting more with our intuition, our creativity, our emotions, because again, we can only meet people as deeply as we've met ourselves. And it's really important that we understand why the emotions that we're having are coming up. Not so that we can necessarily stop them from ever coming up again, but so that we have a better control over like our emotional responses, because that's something that's very indicative of somebody that, you know, may have a dysregulated nervous system or may have other like mental health related issues, is somebody that cannot properly control their emotions. And not control in the same regard as suppress, but, you know, somebody that is like very susceptible to like emotional outbreaks and things like that. And I get the feeling that while that may have not been you, maybe you've never been like susceptible to having emotional outbreaks yourself. Perhaps that was something that was the case for you when you were growing up. Maybe you had a caregiver that was very volatile, that emotions could go from 0 to 100 in like 0.5 seconds, and it really does a number on your nervous system and your ability to better regulate in the future, especially when those feelings start to come up again or you're in a similar situation. It can be hard for you to regulate yourself and for you to like have a proper response to emotionally intensive or stressful situations. But yes, I really do feel like you're being asked to better connect with yourself, to really allow yourself to appreciate your uniqueness and your authenticity, especially with the unicorn coming out here, because the unicorn really can also describe like this uniqueness that we all have, right? And even if you are like a biological identical twin, you guys could still have like different birthmarks or different personalities or want to dress in different ways, right? No one is exactly the same, even if you appear to be the same. There's always going to be something slightly different. And that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Is that you're the only you that has ever existed, and you're the only you that will ever exist. And it's important that you recognize your own uniqueness, your own beauty, and you revel in that a little bit more. Spirit's really asking you to appreciate, and like your higher self is really asking you to appreciate your uniqueness, what makes you special, and really getting to know yourself on a more deep, intimate level. I really do think that you are on the precipice of potentially like even meeting a soulmate or meeting somebody. And like, remember, soulmates can be platonic as well. They don't have to always be romantic soulmates, but meeting somebody that is like very important for you in your life. The thing is, though, is that you have to do a lot of this inner work before you can get there and you can meet that person and truly like appreciate them, and you guys are able to like stay in each other's lives and grow together because you've already done the work needed on yourself to be able to meet them as deeply as you're wanting to, okay? I really do feel like there needs to be maybe some more alone time for you currently, especially with us having death and the Ace of Cups coming up, and we have a solitary individual in these cards who is essentially meditating. I think that one thing also that Spirit's saying with the Two of Swords coming up here is that you have this beautiful ability to see both sides of the story when it comes to like different perspectives or, you know, conflict or whatever it is. But know that it's okay to have your own opinions about things, and just because you can see and understand the other side of the story doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice the way that you feel about something to like appease anybody else. So that's why it's really important that you're doing a lot of this work, really better understanding yourself so that you can better formulate like your own ideas and opinions about certain things. We don't just have to hold the same opinion as someone to keep the peace, quote unquote. And I think that a lot of this will develop for you more over time as you do allow yourself to meet your higher self, allow yourself to connect more with your intuition, and with your emotional state. I feel like a lot of this will develop for you more over time, and you will be a little bit more confident in like speaking up and voicing your opinion in the future. At least I think that's the goal with you hopefully spending more time alone, and allowing like what isn't you, like these parts of you that you may have acquired from other people, from caregivers, parents, whoever, and discarding those things that aren't truly you, and allowing yourself to really live in your own authenticity, and not allowing yourself to get wrapped up in other people's ideas or opinions about what you should do with your life or who you're meant to be or whatever. But I do think ultimately that there is this like underlying issue of you not really loving and truly accepting yourself for who you are. And group number one, you're never gonna get the things that you want out of life if you cannot do that. It's so, so important for you guys to accept yourself, to love yourself, accept yourself entirely, okay? And that's not to say we're not going to have bad days where we don't always love ourselves or we feel more indifferent towards ourselves. That's okay. But it's really important for you to overall like be able to look at yourself in the mirror, look at yourself in the eyes, and lift yourself up. I'm telling you, if you like go to the mirror and you do some of those practices where you tell yourself and you look directly at yourself and tell yourself that you're worthy of love, tell yourself that you are beautiful just as you are, you're special, you know, you're a good person, whatever it is that works for you. I'm telling you, like that stuff is very emotional. It's very emotionally provoking because it may be the only time that somebody's ever looked you in the eyes and said that to you. And it's important that you be that person that do that for yourself if need be, okay? Let me take a drink of water here, and then I want to get into the rest of your oracle cards as well. But yeah, overall, your higher self is really wanting to connect with you more, wanting you to connect with your emotions, your intuition, your creativity, with those more like feminine, quote unquote, aspects, you know, and really allowing yourself to emerge as who you really are, allowing these pieces of you that aren't really you to die off. And I do feel like this is going to cause a massive transformation for you, especially with death coming up here. I think that if you really allow yourself to do the work, if you really allow yourself to dig in deeply, and you also recognize that progress isn't, you know, a linear line. It's got its dips, it's got its ebbs, you know, it doesn't constantly flow in the right direction all of the time. I think that that will be really good for you if you can realize that, group number one, but still commit to working on yourself, still commit to healing that needs to be done, you know. And that also does mean that if you need like professional help, if you need to see a therapist, if you need to see like a shaman or somebody that does Reiki or whatever it is that works for you, that you allow yourself the time to do that, so that you can get the help and the support that you need while you're going through this process. If it's something that you completely want to do by yourself, that's fine, but just know that it's always okay to reach out for help if needed, okay? I also have for you a personal issue reaches resolution, full moon in Cancer. I really think that this probably has to do with like our own self-worth, our own self-love. I think that, you know, with it reaching a resolution for you, that hopefully you're able to come to this place where you can really love and appreciate yourself and respect yourself, And I just want to give an example because I'm kind of feeling called to right now. I'm somebody that hasn't always been the best at taking care of myself, and I often put myself on the back burner to take care of others or to take care of, you know, even just things like to clean or to do whatever. Like, I will put myself, my own needs on the back burner to get things done, essentially. And I'm really getting to this place now, and I'm also like in my Saturn return, yay. But I'm getting to this place now where I recognize that there are a lot of different ways that I can care for myself. And it may not always be, like a sheet mask at night or a bubble bath. It may be me cooking myself a good meal because I've been eating terribly and my body feels awful from how I've been eating for the past couple of days. It's me making sure that I'm giving myself enough fiber, enough protein, enough nutrients during the day so that I feel satisfied. It's a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but I have come to find that for me, that's how I'm able to show myself love and appreciation and worthiness, is by cooking myself a meal, making sure that I have healthy snack options available for me so that even if I want to eat some chocolate covered almonds, I have some strawberries with it also to like help give me some fiber and some nutrients. It's really about being gentle and being loving and compassionate for yourself. And I think that that's something that will hopefully kind of reach this resolution, or you'll have this aha moment for yourself where it's like, when I'm really depressed or I'm really down or I'm really at this point where I'm not taking care of myself, this is what that looks like for me. And these are small changes that I can make or implement to help myself out. So for instance, every week my husband and I go grocery shopping so that we can make sure that we have plenty of food and snacks at home available. And I will also usually pre-cut. I have like one day off a week. I work 4 days a week as a nurse. And I have 3 days off, but like one weekday, you know what I mean? And I will spend that weekday like cutting, peeling vegetables and fruits and having them available so they're easier for me to access and eat. And that is like an act of self-love as well. So just trying to figure out what that is for you, because just because that's what it looks like for me doesn't mean that's going to be the same thing for you. So trying to figure out how you kind of like self-deprive when you're going through a harder season in life, or you feel depressed or you feel down. What are things that you neglect for yourself? It may be really like important for you to kind of do that journaling work, that shadow work, to help uncover that. And then, decipher, why is that? Is it because I feel like I'm not worthy? Is it because I don't want to show myself love and consideration in that moment? And I'm telling you, like, doing that will probably be really, really helpful. It was really helpful for me. So just food for thought there. And then I also have for you a time to give rather than take, new moon in Virgo. I really feel like this has to do with you guys. I do feel like you're probably somebody that is really good at balancing and taking care of things for everyone else, but you're not so good about doing that for yourself. And especially if this is really going to be a time of like healing and a time of you doing a lot of deeper inner work, it is time to give to yourself and stop taking from an empty cup so that you can then give to yourself, fill your cup up, and then give to others, okay? Because I think that you guys are you're very beautiful and special, group number one, especially with the unicorn coming out there. I saw that and I was like, okay, I see who I'm dealing with here. And I think that you also need to know that your value isn't in what you can provide other people all of the time, okay? Your value is in you being a human being and existing and being a person and having a soul, having a life. That is your value. You are inherently valuable, and you don't have to do things for people to make you more valuable. It's okay to give to yourself and fill up your own cup so that then you can continue to help people if that's what you choose to do, group number one. But know that it's not your responsibility to fill up somebody else's cup while yours is empty. Let me take one more drink here and then we'll get into the last couple oracle cards here. I also have for you Harvest. As the waves of the ocean are infinite, as the trees in the forest grow tall, let my work now bring me to harvest. I am ready to receive my all. I think a couple things here with this coming out. So I feel like, again, maybe you really put yourself down and you don't allow yourself to see how beautiful and special and like worthy you are, and it's time for you to really accept that. It's time for you to plant these seeds of self-love and respect and admiration so that you're able to reap what you sow, right? You're able to feel more at peace in your own body, and with like who you are. I also think that this is ultimately, like the card ultimately says, harvest, and we reap what we sow. So how are you speaking to yourself? How do you feel about yourself? And how does that impact that you speak and feel about other people? Do you judge people more frequently? Do you give other people the same level of compassion and understanding that you would like to be given to you? And if you do, why is it a problem for you to extend that to yourself? It's really time for you to take care of yourself and for you to truly show yourself like that love and that appreciation. And like I said, for me, this would be me doing little things, planting little seeds throughout the week to make sure that, you know, I'm able to be successful. I'm able to eat nutritious foods and get the nutrients that I need and the protein and the fiber and the whatever that I need throughout the day or the week. This is also like making sure that I stick to the routines that are important to me. So I'm really into skincare. I stick to my skincare routine every night, even when I'm tired. I always make sure to get up in the morning and that I have enough time to brush my teeth and put on sunscreen. I also make sure that I make time to deep clean every 2 weeks because it's good for me and it's good for my mental health and it feels good for me to do that. So what are these things for you? What are these little things that you can do for yourself so that you feel good in the space that you're in the body that you're in the environment you're in, whatever it may be? Don't not give to yourself. Stop not taking like an extra 5 to 10 minutes to give something to yourself because you're so used to just giving to everybody else. It's time for you to make room to do that for you too, okay? We also have for you sensuality, your freedom flowing from far away. I dance, I love, I laugh, I play. I love that. So, you know, sensuality really does talk about us connecting more with our 5 senses, and we do that by allowing ourselves to be more present in our lives and in the current moment than we normally are. So I think it's really important for you to better connect with those 5 senses, to maybe go outside, take some time away from your screens, connect with nature, connect with your animals, connect with your loved ones. Allow yourself to dance, to love, to laugh, to play. Allow yourself to enjoy life, enjoy the small things. And I think that it will allow you to see more beauty in yourself and in your own life and in your environment. But I do think that this is something that your higher self thinks is really important for you right now. So trying to better connect with your 5 senses on a daily basis, doing the things that you thoroughly enjoy, that bring you joy, that bring you peace and happiness, and that allow you to feel light and childlike. I think that that's a big thing too, is as we get older, like our child self is our most authentic self, and as we get older and we get bogged down by other people's expectations and society's expectations, we lose those pieces of ourselves. And it's important for us to connect with our inner child again so that we can regain those pieces. And it can be something so simple. A couple months ago, I was really wanting to swing. I was just wanting to go to a park and swing. And like for some reason, most of the parks around me do not have like a swing set. So we literally drove like 15 minutes away to like an elementary school so that I could just swing and just like enjoy myself and feel young and like have fun again. For it was like literally 20 minutes and it was so fun, and I literally felt so much better after that. It's like my inner child had this sense of peace because she got to have some joy that maybe she doesn't get all of the time. So what is joyful for you? What excites you? What makes you happy? Like, what are things that you enjoyed doing as a kid? Do you want to do any of those things now? But what are things that are kind of calling to you? Maybe it's the beach. Maybe it's the beach always calls me. That's why I had that example. Maybe it's swinging like I wanted to do. Maybe you want to go outside and like draw on the sidewalk with chalk. Like, do something that brings you that joy, that childlike joy. And then finally, I just wanted to get some like last pieces of advice from your higher self for you guys. So we have gratitude. I think that it's always important for us to practice gratitude, but especially if you're in this place where you really are trying to make changes, you're really trying to show yourself more love and compassion. It's important for us to recognize the things that we're grateful for, and even like not even just gratitude, but also like recognizing and showing ourselves that we're proud of the things that we do accomplish, right? It's literally like when you're a kid and you like paint a picture and you take it home for your parents and you just want them to be like, oh, this is so great, and put it on the fridge. Because it like feels good to have somebody acknowledge like what you did, right? And you can be that person for yourself. You can acknowledge and appreciate the things that you do for you, and even just like the things that you try, even when they're not perfect. I'm a terrible artist. I'm a terrible painter. I always have been. I'd love to maybe one day have time to practice and get better, but I'm just not good at it. It's just not something that I'm good at. But I still enjoy going to like the paint and sip kind of classes where it's like a directed painting project that you have. And they're usually like relatively simple. There's one painting that my husband and I did together for like a Valentine's Day, and it's like these two canvases and they connect in the middle by making like a heart with these tree branches. And we did that like a couple years ago, and we have it like hanging up in our house. And we always get compliments on it. People are always like, wow, you guys made that? Like, that's so cool. That looks really good, blah, blah, blah. And it's one of those things that like when we were done, I was like, I mean, that's okay. But like I would always like, my husband's side looks better than my side. And to be completely honest with you, I can't even remember whose side is whose anymore. And it was honestly more important for me at the time to just be like, wow, you know, I stepped out of my comfort zone. I did something that I'm not good at, and I had a really good time. And I think that that's the whole thing, right? Is we often forget that a lot of the time it's the journey. A lot of the time it's the learning. You're never going to be perfect at something the first time you do it, but it's important that you allow yourself that compassion to like continue going, and that you congratulate yourself when you do something like slightly better than you did before. But yes, gratitude, as well as practicing compassion for yourself and not being so hypercritical of the things that you create. And then finally I have positivity, which I feel like goes really well with that. I think that once you guys are able to go through this change, to allow yourself this transformation, to allow yourself to have met you like at a very deep level, I think that it will breed a lot more positivity and optimism for you. It's interesting as well because marigolds actually are used during like Dia de los Muertos, and you got the death card. So really it's kind of like that blooming, that blossoming after you release these parts of you, these pieces of you that aren't truly you and that no longer serve you. And maybe they never did. And it is important. That's why it's so important for us to do this work and for us to really better understand ourselves and be more introspective so that we can release these pieces of us that aren't really us, that are things that we were told or things that we were, you know, meant to believe. And that doesn't mean that that's what's best for us or that that is who we are, right? So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave your guys' reading here, group number 1. I really enjoyed this one. I hope that this resonated for you, that it provided you with some pieces of wisdom, and that you really heard something here today that you needed to. That was my whole goal with this reading with your higher self, is that ultimately you would hear something here that would be important and effective for you. So anyway, if you if this resonated for you, please leave me a comment down below letting me know. Give this video a like so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may also need to hear this message. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I put out new pick a card readings weekly. Sometimes I'll do a weekly tarot collective reading. But please subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the videos that I post in the future. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you in a future reading. Bye. Hello there, group number 2. As a reminder, if you chose this piece of citrine, then this is your reading this week, and we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I have our tarot cards already laid out, and then I do have some additional oracle cards that we'll get into after we get through these. So we have for you the Sun, the Hierophant, the Queen of Swords, and Strength. And then we also have the Otter here. I wanted to use the, I've like said it already twice, the Animal Spirit, like pocket Animal Spirit guide that I have deck, so that I could kind of get an idea of what like energy your higher self wants you to be in touch with at this time, like what you should be most energetically aligned with. And you guys got the Otter, which I love, because in this deck the Otter really represents like bliss and joy, and really that like childlike joy and wonder, but just like overall this like happiness and great gratitude and joy just to like be alive and have the opportunity to live life. So I think that's really beautiful. I also think it's really interesting that 3 of your 4 cards here have a sun depicted in them, and you actually got the Sun card in the tarot. And the fact that you have 3 cards being major arcana cards here. I think that this is a very significant message that your higher self has for you. And I really think that with all of this sun energy in the cards, that you're being asked to allow yourself to shine brightly. Allow yourself to like allow your personality, your ideas, your mind, your voice to shine. Stop suppressing yourself, you know, don't hide yourself. Allow yourself to shine unabashedly, and allow yourself to present as you truly are. So really like tapping into that authenticity. But I do feel like you guys have a lot of joy and like happiness to spread just naturally. Like you're probably a very joyful, happy person, probably more optimistic than not, maybe a Sagittarius or Pisces rising. Or you could also have a lot of Leo energy in your chart with all this sun coming up here. But I do feel like you're meant to shine brightly. I do feel like you're meant to exude this confidence and just like effortlessness for other people to see. And I think that your personality and like your perspective is very, very needed in the world. And your higher self really wants you to start expressing that and expressing yourself more. It's just like, you know, the vibe that I'm getting is even like on a cloudy day when we can't see the sun, we know the sun is still shining brightly in the sky. And so, you know, even when you're having a rough day, or, you know, you are having a cloudy day and you're not shining as brightly, you're still shining. Like you're still able to be yourself and put that energy out there. Even if everyone can't see and appreciate it, you're still there, allowing yourself to shine in the background. So allow yourself to shine, allow yourself to be in the light, even maybe allowing yourself to go outside more and soak up some more sun may be very valuable to you. I think that with you maybe being more joyful and like having more of like a childlike view, and like not in a negative way by any means. I mean that in a very positive way of you being more like tapped into your inner child and having more of like a childlike wonderment with things. There may be people that because they're not happy, because they don't have any joy, they try to project on you a lot or try to tell you to like grow up or that you're too immature. And I just want to say, like, your higher self is saying not to listen to those people. You don't have to fit into their perfect cookie cutter box of what they think you should be or who you should be. You're the only one that can create these boundaries and these identifiers for yourself. You are not defined by what anybody else thinks of you. You're defined by what you think of yourself, by your values, the things that are important to you. And so it's important that you understand those things so that you don't let other people get it twisted with you, okay? Because when we don't have a full grasp on ourselves, or we don't really understand where we stand on certain subjects or what our boundaries may be, it's easy for other people to project onto us. And they'll do it irregardless, but it's more so that projection can be very harmful for you because, you know, for instance, let's say somebody tells you that you're a selfish person, but they're just seeing one glimpse of you, or even potentially projecting their own selfishness onto you. And you're not like that, and you know that's not you, and you know that, like, to the deepest part of your core, it's not on you to correct what other people think of you, group number 2. It's just on you to understand who you really are and what your values are, and letting all of the rest of it kind of like slide off the boundaries, off the triangle that we're seeing here, right? Like, people will try to make things stick and they will try to tell you who you are, but you have to know who you are, and you have to know what your values are. And once you do, and you have a firm grasp on that, it'll be easier for you to speak up, and it'll be easier for you to voice your opinions and like your thoughts on certain things. But also it will be easier for you to ignore the haters, right? Because again, sometimes people are just mean. Sometimes people just want to tear us down because they feel bad about themselves. And by you truly knowing yourself and knowing your values, it's going to be a lot harder for people to penetrate that for you. But just know ultimately that you're not defined by other people and what they think about you. And truly what other people think about us is none of our business. And if they have a problem with you, that's a them issue. It's not a you issue. With the Queen of Swords and Strength coming out here, I do feel like you guys probably, for the most part, have a good idea of like the life you want to lead, or the impression you want to leave on the world. And again, don't let other people try and sway you or confuse you or put their own ideas onto you if they don't resonate with you. It's okay to enact boundaries with certain people. It's okay also to like be an asshole, quote unquote, to certain people. Like, that's coming out really wrong. What I'm trying to say is it's okay for like not everybody to like you, or for people to not see you as a nice person all of the time, especially when you are enacting your boundaries. It's okay for us to not always be a people pleaser and not always be nice. Like, don't be an asshole just to be an asshole, but it is okay to stand up for yourself and use your words, like use your language, use your ability to, you know, keep some people at a distance, because some people do need to be held at a distance, especially when they're people that don't appreciate and don't understand us. It's okay to like also protect our peace, right? So let's say, for instance, you have a family member, or like you're even married to somebody that has family that you don't get along with. It's okay for you to not always put yourself in those situations where you have to be around those people, especially if it gives you a lot of anxiety, or, you know, these people are very hypercritical of you. It makes you feel bad about yourself. Like, it's okay to protect our peace and not surround ourselves with those kind of people all of the time. So it is okay to have those boundaries with people and to not always let everyone have access to you. And then with strength coming out, I do feel like, you know, this is ultimately asking you to be vulnerable, to be open, to allow people to see you, to allow that light to shine, because there are a lot of people, group number 2, that are meant to meet you in this lifetime for various reasons. There are a lot of people that will be attracted to you and your energy and just who you are in general, but you have to put yourself out there and really allow yourself to shine. And that can be really scary sometimes, to be open and vulnerable and really putting ourselves out there on display for others to judge or see or critique. But know that you're going to get to a point where it's easy for you to separate like those who actually have good intentions for you and those who do not, and you'll be able to set boundaries and like whatever is needed accordingly. Okay. Know that like you will have that ability to make those decisions and like be able to decipher, but it is okay to be vulnerable and be open, and also to relinquish some of the control, because ultimately sometimes when we have a hard time with how people view us, that's why I said like how other people see us isn't always our business, right? Because we may want to control how they see us. We may want to be seen as a good person, and we may try to do a lot of things to control or change the way they view us, especially if you have like previous people pleasing tendencies. That may kind of be your inclination, and it's important for you to let go, to relinquish some of that control. Know that, you know, sometimes people just aren't going to see you the way that you see yourself. And again, that has more to do with them than it does with you. And you don't have to hold on to that, because as long as you know who you really are and what you stand for, it's okay if other people don't see that and understand that for us. It's also okay to kind of understand that life is going to throw you a lot of curveballs. Life is not going to be easy all of the time. We're going to run into a lot of obstacles and problems, and by learning to relinquish some of that control, it will then allow us to flow better with the things that life throws at us and allow those things to shape us. I think that you guys are also being called by your higher self to emanate your light so much so that you can attract people that will then want to live in their own authenticity and learn more about themselves and learn how to set certain boundaries with other people. You may end up being like a mentor or a teacher for some people at some point in time. It's also really important too to remember that nobody has all of the answers to life. Nobody knows everything that's going to ever happen. And no one has like the perfect answer or like the right answer for everything, and that's okay. It is also important to recognize that some people do have more wisdom and experience than we do, and it's okay to like yield when somebody does have more experience than we do with something. So for instance, it really is like, for instance, like let's say that you're a man listening to this. You're not really going to understand the complexities of the dynamics of the patriarchy quite like a woman will who is subjected to the negative effects of the patriarchy, right? You can, you know, learn and you can listen and you can have empathy, but if you've never been taught those things, if you're not necessarily the one that's in that position, your lived experience is going to be a lot different than someone else's. And it's okay to allow yourself to like learn and listen and grow based off of what other people have to say, because they may have more experience in a certain field or subject. Okay, I'm going to take a drink of water and then we'll get into the rest of your oracle cards here. Let me check one other thing here too, group number 2. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm going to try and fix the lighting situation here real quick too. I'm going to pause. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, group number 2. I am back now. I think that's a little bit better with the lighting. We're starting to really get that flood of like light coming in for the day. So hopefully it's a little bit better now. Let's go ahead and get into your oracle cards though as well. So we have first for you, the answers you need are coming, full moon and Gemini. I have a couple things to say about this card. So if you were needing to hear any of these messages that we've already kind of gone over from your higher self, this reading could very well serve as like your confirmation for you. There may also be some things that come up in the next several weeks to year that you'll hear, or that you will kind of have like an aha moment with, where you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, or I don't know, things will just kind of like click in place for you. Especially I feel like when it comes to you really showing like your authentic self to the world, allowing yourself to shine. There may be kind of a lot of things that you discover or that you learn, or that gives you kind of that aha moment or that realization of like, I don't know why I've been hiding myself for so long. I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be who I want to be and screw everybody else's opinion. And then also, you know, Gemini really does deal with duality. It's the twins. It deals with this duality by nature. And, you know, you're allowed to be a multifaceted, complex human being, right? You're allowed to be both joyful and playful and dedicated and driven and motivated to accomplish certain things, right? You're allowed to be those things. Again, like, don't let people put you in a box. Create your own box. Create your own boundaries. Don't let other people tell you that just because you have this like childlike wonder, that you're joyful, that things excite you, that you can't be taken seriously, because it's BS, okay? But keep your eyes open, keep your mind open to like different signs and synchronicities that may be coming in for you that really allow you to see, you know, that it's okay for you to shine, that you're meant to shine, and you're meant to lead with your authenticity in the world to inspire others to do the same. We also have for you, don't let your past hold you back, South Node. So I really do love that this is coming up. Like, don't let your past hold you back ever, because, you know, we're not defined by the actions that we take in the past. But for you in particular, with this card coming up, I would encourage you to look at your astrological chart and to see where your South Node is. That ultimately is our comfort zone. That is kind of the gifts that we came into this life with already, gifts that we already had, things that are like more innately easy for us. Maybe looking into that, seeing kind of where that comfort zone may be, so that you can better understand some of the things that you need to step out of, right? You're not in this lifetime trying to only be your North Node. We do have certain aspects of our South Node that is like very, very valuable, but I'll use myself as an example to kind of help maybe clarify a little bit. So I'm a North Node in Scorpio, a South Node in Taurus, and I find that for myself personally, I have issues with security and stability. I have problems with things not feeling secure, not feeling stable, and needing to get back to that like stable ground. But my Scorpio North Node wants this exploration, this journey, this spiritual development, and this step away from the material things, right, that kind of bind us and make us feel stuck at times. And for me, it's like finding that balance between the two, because I do need some level of security and stability while also allowing myself the freedom to explore, the freedom to adventure and take risks, and not worrying all the time about things not working out or being without. It's really like trying to come out of this lack mindset for me. So maybe looking into this for yourself. It's interesting with all of the Leo energy. You could potentially be a Leo North Node with a South Node in Aquarius. And if that were the case for some of you, then, you know, this authenticity, this allowing yourself to shine brightly and to allow other people to see you for who you are so that you can really meet people and draw people into you is very, very important. And that would make a lot of sense. But ultimately, don't allow yourself to get held back by your comfort zone. Just because you may not be used to shining, you may not be used to being the sun, doesn't mean that you aren't. So allow yourself to shine, allow people to see you, and allow people to love you. Allow yourself to be open to those things. We also have for you strength. We can't make this up. We've gotten strength twice now. So all of the things that I was saying with strength currently or previously still stand with this card. I do think that you guys are very strong and have a lot of inner power, but it's learning how to use that. It's learning how to balance that. It's learning how to be open and vulnerable, allowing life to take you where it needs to take you and not feeling like you need to be in control of the outcome all of the time. And also that strength and that courage that comes with us really knowing ourselves deeply and understanding ourselves and what we need, and being able to ask for that too, right? Again, like we had the Queen of Swords come up, and the Queen of Swords is really about us using our voice even when it's difficult, having the ability to speak up for ourselves and state the things that we need from other people, or stating our own boundaries. It takes a lot of strength to do that because, again, it puts us on display. It makes us feel vulnerable. But it's so important for you guys to have that level of vulnerability, group number 2. We also have for you authenticity. Who I truly am is good indeed. I am authentic in thought, word, and deed. I'm going to let that one speak for itself because we've already talked a lot about your authenticity here, group number 2. And then finally, I wanted to get any last pieces of wisdom here, any last pieces of advice from your higher self. So we have for you strength. Sorry, like it's just funny. Spirit's really funny. Your higher self, the universe, really funny sometimes. We've gotten strength 3 times, so you guys are triple strong, okay? And again, like this obviously isn't just with our physical body. This is us internally as well. So we may not be the most strong, like externally being able to lift all these boxes or heavy things, but you're very strong internally. You have a very good moral compass, and it's time for you to show that strength. It's time for you to allow yourself to be open and authentic and vulnerable. This card also does talk about us potentially being like mentors and teachers for others. But really it's like you being the light, being the guide for other people, being that sun, so that other people can see you shining in your own authenticity, and they'll feel encouraged and inspired to do the same, to seek you out, to ask for mentorship or guidance or help. And I think that you guys will be very, very good in that kind of role. That's just the energy that I'm getting. And then finally, I have for you transition, cauliflower. So, and this was fennel. But I think that this is coming out to remind you that this is going to be a process, right? Like you're not just going to wake up and be able to shine as bright as the sun and be your most authentic self every single day. And even after you go through this process, like it's not going to be you shining brightly like clear blue skies every day, right? There's going to be difficulty. There's going to be challenges, and it's okay that that happens. Just know that it's important that you recognize these things within yourself so that you can make that change and that transition that's needed so you can live more authentically and openly. But know that it's okay that it takes time. Know that it's okay that all change takes time. And know that it's okay that even once we have changed or we've started implementing these changes, it's okay if we revert back every once in a while. But it's important to have that strength to get back up, to get back into our routines within our boundaries, to support ourselves. An example that's coming to mind in my own life is, those little like habit changers that we all try to make. So for me, like over the past, I want to say like 8 months, have been trying to stretch daily. Because I was having a lot of lower back pain and other issues that have been going on for a while, and that was really helping me. And I've kind of fallen off a little bit, but I don't beat myself up about it. I'm not hard on myself for it. Like, I just really try to get back into it. And it's actually something that I'm going to try again this week, is to stretch every single day and hold myself accountable. And if I don't do it this week, that's okay. I'll try again next week. It's really just about being able to try and put in that effort, and know that like no one's perfect. No one's ever perfectly consistent with anything, and that's okay. It's all right to have days where we don't show up completely, or where we kind of only show up partially. And something that's coming to mind is a phrase that I heard a couple months ago of, anything worth doing is worth doing half-assed. So keep that in mind as well, group number 3. But group number 2, I don't know why I called you group number 3. I'm sorry about that. If I've called you group number 3 at all, like previous to this in this reading, my apologies. Group number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and leave your reading here for this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that this resonated for you and that you got some valuable messages, and you heard some things in here that you really needed to. If that was the case, please leave me a comment down below. Give this video a like so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may also need to hear today's message. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I put out new pick-a-card readings, sometimes a tarot collective reading once a week. I love you guys so much. I'm hoping all the best for you, and I hope to see you in a future reading. Thanks for joining me. Bye. Hello there, my group number 3s. As a reminder, if you chose this piece of smoky quartz, then this is your reading. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. We have some tarot cards laid out for you already, and then I do have some additional oracle cards that we'll get into after we go through this. So what we have gotten for you guys for this week is the 10 of Pentacles, Temperance, the Lovers, and the 4 of Swords. I also wanted to get like an overall energy that maybe you guys should be kind of tapping into, or embodying at this time, and I wanted to get that information from your higher self. So you guys received the Lion, and I think that that's really interesting because, especially with everything else that's laid out here, I'm really seeing that maybe right now you guys need to be embodying more of a observatory standpoint as opposed to an action-based like standpoint on whatever it is you're currently doing. I think that you definitely need to slow down a little bit more, to listen more, and to observe more and kind of be cautious, or I guess not necessarily cautious, but like more thoughtful with like certain decisions or actions that you're planning to make. And literally maybe just kind of formulating these ideas and even just kind of keeping track of them, writing them down for now, as opposed to actually going out and taking actionable steps towards them. Especially with the 4 of Swords coming up here, I really do feel like it's kind of a time for you to rest and recuperate. And again, like get your thoughts in action, or your thoughts and like your plan together before actually taking any discernible action on anything right now. And something that I do want to point out as well is like this takes a lot of inner strength to be able to do that, especially if you're somebody that is more impulsive, or that's just kind of how you always approach things, is like by action-based, by like an action-based approach. as opposed to like the thoughtful formulating, planning, piece of things. And that very well could be the case for you guys, group number 3. Perhaps, that's kind of what you've always leaned toward, but I do think it's kind of a time for you to take a back seat and to take rest if needed, especially if you have been very like go, 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 push, push, push. It's time to allow yourself some rest, some recuperation, going back to the drawing board, looking at like what worked for you, what didn't, implementing certain changes or formulating ideas of like different changes you can make. So this is not a time where we should just keep pushing through, essentially. With Temperance and the Lovers coming out, it's interesting because the Lovers is actually represented by Gemini and Temperance is represented by Sagittarius, and these are opposite signs in the zodiac. And I really do feel like there needs to be more of a balance for you. You may be somebody that is just like very enthusiastic and you're a go-getter, and you may even find that you speak up over other people a lot. And I'm not saying that in a mean, judgmental way. It's just like something that we do sometimes, or like when we are kind of looked to as like a mentor or guide, or even, you may just have a really loud voice, and it's easy for you to drown out the thoughts and the opinions of other people. Now is not a time for you to be doing that, group number 3. It really is a time for you to find that balance, that equilibrium between action and inaction, between speaking and listening. And I think that ultimately this is that kind of time for you so that you can meet certain people and build relationships with people by getting to know them, and not just like oversharing about yourself, by being inquisitive and like interested in getting to know people. People really do, especially if you're like someone like me that is more like I can lean to be more introverted. I really do appreciate when people like give me their full attention and allow me to speak, because sometimes I feel like I am spoken over quite frequently, and it kind of just like causes me to just not speak up very much, or to just kind of keep my opinions to myself. And I think that now would be a good time for you to kind of meet more people like that, people that you can build like really important bonds and friendships, and like even, it could even be somebody that you like go into business with or whatever, but you do need that balance, that equilibrium of having somebody else that also does like to look at the plan a little bit more, be a little bit more thoughtful towards things, and not just like jump into action right away. I do want to say too, I apologize if you're hearing all of that noise in the background. I think it's trash day and I'm just not recording at the most opportune time, so I hope it's not drowning me out too much. But yeah, I think that it'd be a really good thing for you to be able to do that and take a step back and allow yourself to be an observer instead of always like speaking up and voicing your opinions, so that you can kind of better understand other people's perspectives as well. I think also with like the Lovers coming out here and with the 10 of Pentacles, I think that something that your higher self is really wanting you to recognize is the importance of like having foundational relationships in your life, and the things that it can bring to you. The both like attainable and unattainable things, like I guess more like the things that you can touch and see, and the things that you can't, because having certain people in your life can really allow you to open up more emotionally, allow you to be more expressive, allow you to feel more content and like a part of a community and seen. And then also, it can build connections for you to be able to bring in like more money or more things that you can acquire with like monetary means, so like more things. And it is really important for us to kind of have that balance when we're like meeting new people, to allow people to be like feel welcoming in our space. Because again, I feel like you guys are, with the Lion coming out especially, I do feel like you're very powerful and you have very powerful energy, and it may be very off-putting to certain people or intimidating to certain people. And That's why I think that, you know, a lot of times you're the one talking a lot and other people are just kind of like listening or putting little input here and there, because they do recognize this power that you have, like this strength that you have within you. And while that's beautiful and great and like definitely needed in a lot of situations from you, group number 3, it's also important that we like learn to use our power and our strength to lift up the voices of other people as well. And to not just like overshadow everyone with like our opinions, our thoughts, our way of being, because that's not everybody else's reality. And it is important to like amplify other people's voices when we have the capability of doing that, okay? But yeah, ultimately, I think there needs to be more balance within your life, you know, not just leaning toward one side of the spectrum always, but allowing yourself to fall back into those other positions. So again, not just always being the speaker, allowing yourself to be the listener, not just always being the headstrong action taker, allowing yourself to be the planner, to be, you know, a little bit more meticulous and a little bit more thoughtful towards like our plans and the things that we want to create. So yeah, I just think ultimately a good balance would be good for you guys, and will help you kind of create the reality that you want by incorporating this balance. It will then allow you to have like the material things and have that like comfort and security that you want, while also having like the people in your life that are supportive and loving and allow you to feel rich in friendships and family and things like that. So let me take a drink of water here real quick, group number 3, and then we'll get into the rest of your oracle cards here. Okay, so we have for you, communication is key, new moon in Gemini. Yes, okay, I think that this is like very, very important here. Like I was saying, you know, communication isn't just about us speaking, it's about us listening as well, and having that like feedback loop and that understanding. You know, you can't always be the person that just like listens to respond. Sometimes you have to listen to understand, and that is like a big framework and piece of communication, and allowing yourself to have like good discourse with another person is by fully listening to them and trying to understand their perspective. But yes, using our voice, speaking up, and listening and hearing other people out is like really, really huge for you guys. And again, this is like another Gemini based card here. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication. So kind of keep that in mind, that communication is really important for you guys at this time. And as I was saying, I really do feel like for you, it's going to be more of the listening and observing piece of communication. Looking at body language and things like that are going to be really important for you guys at this time. We also have for you, you are good enough, full moon in Virgo. I really love when this card comes out, because I think that ultimately you're needing that reminder that who you are is good enough always. You being a human being and existing makes you worthy and makes you enough. So always remember that, group number 3, that you are always enough, and you don't always have to be this like loud, expressive person to be seen as valuable and to have your opinions be seen as valuable. You're just as valuable when you're amplifying other people's voices. You're just as valuable when you're listening and observing. Let me pause. It's getting really loud out. Hold on one second. Sorry about that, group number 3. It was just getting really loud out there. So like I was saying with you are good enough with the full moon in Virgo, you are good enough. You are always inherently valuable. Your worth doesn't lie in the things that you provide to other people. Your worth is inherent because you exist as a human being. And just know that, like, you're good enough. You don't have to hide behind this facade or, like, you know, put up this act about who you are, who you want to be interpreted as. You're good enough just being yourself. And there are a lot of people who will appreciate you and love you just as you are. Group number 3, you don't have to change yourself to fit into a box or a mold for other people to love and appreciate you. We also have for you, stuck together, peace. Bridget, goddess in your sacred name, a light within me, peace is flame. So that's another thing too that I can definitely see in the 4 of Swords, is allowing you to to protect your own peace. With Temperance coming out, there definitely could have been this time period of change, of kind of like revelations being made, and something that I'm feeling kind of coming through is understanding that protecting our peace is 100% okay all of the time, to like protect your own peace, protect your own sacred space, and you don't have to continue to let people into that space or into your heart that don't align with that and don't allow you to protect your peace. So even if that's people that are like family or, you know, people that you feel obligated to help and take care of, know that at the end of the day, it's not your responsibility to put somebody else's needs above your own and above your own peace. So hang on to that. This peacefulness and tranquility and rest is really, really important for you guys right now. And again, like with You Are Good Enough coming out here, know that you are not valuable because of what you can provide to other people. Like I had said earlier, you're valuable because you are, because you're human, because you exist. And you do not have to sacrifice your own peace for anybody else, okay? So don't put other people's peace and needs ahead of your own. You're okay to like be seen as selfish by like not going to some family function or something because you get stressed out and anxious around those people. It's okay to protect your peace and stay home, all right? I also have for you trust. I am safe, I am secure, in love I trust, my faith endures. So trust is always really important, and it's something that can be really hard for a lot of people. With like the 10 of Pentacles that we got earlier and the Lovers, I also think that maybe the reason why you don't always listen and allow yourself to deeply connect with people is due to fear. And maybe it's a fear of abandonment, maybe it's a fear of judgment. You know, there are a lot of reasons why you may not always allow yourself that intimacy and that connection with other people, but it is important that you trust other people. You know, the lion can live a solitary life, but is that much of a life for a social creature that, you know, does need to kind of be in its pride and have other lions around them? I mean, probably not. So it is important that we're able to trust and rely on others. And the thing is people tell us a lot with what they don't say out loud and with their body language, with kind of the way they respond and act to certain things. You can tell a lot by observing and by listening. And so again, I think that that is something that's really important for you guys. It'll kind of help you decipher maybe between the people that you can and cannot trust, or the people that you should and shouldn't trust, I guess I should say. But know that ultimately, like, trust is very important for you, and it's really like the foundation of any good relationship. So it is important to trust and love others. We also have for you focus. And then I like how we have stock here. So again, I think it is time for you to slow down. It's time for you to take stock in what you've currently done and accomplished and make adjustments accordingly for your next, you know, actionable step. But again, don't rush yourself. Allow yourself to focus on what you have already accomplished. Allow yourself to focus on the present. Allow yourself the time you need to rest. And then you can go back and take those actionable steps, group number 3. But remember that now isn't necessarily the time for you to do that, okay? And then finally, we have for you courage time. So I really like that this one is coming out actually, because I do think it takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage, as I had mentioned earlier, to restrain yourself, right? To restrain yourself from maybe taking like some steps or some actions that aren't necessarily the most helpful or that aren't the most thought out, that may be a little bit more impulsive. And if that kind of is your nature and what you lean toward, then it can be really, really hard to restrain or to like stop that part of you from coming out. And like I had said before, I'm not trying to shame or like make you feel like that part of you is wrong in any sense, because it's really not. It's just sometimes like it's not the right timing. And I think that it's not the right timing for you guys right now, group number 3, and that's totally okay. It takes a lot of courage to admit that you need to step back, you need to re-examine things, and then you kind of need to like create a new plan, and there's nothing wrong with that. And again, it takes a lot of courage and strength to have that level of restraint, that level of introspection and understanding, and to kind of really know what you need and fulfill those needs. So that's really all that I have for you guys, group number 3. I'm going to go ahead and leave your reading here. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I really hope that this resonated for you. If it did, please leave me a comment down below. Give this video a like so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may need to hear today's message. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. I put out new pick a card readings. Sometimes I do a weekly like tarot collective reading once a week. And please do subscribe so you can keep up to date on all of the videos that I post in the future. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you in a future reading. Bye.